Okay, so monopoly. Okay, so the second market structure that we're going to study is monopoly. Jean V.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my head on that video?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're starting to do pure monopoly. Next class we'll talk about other kinds of monopolies, like price discriminating monopolies and natural monopolies. But today we're focused on pure monopoly. Okay, so those of you who studied a little bit of world history probably studied a little bit about Adam Smith. Right? We've talked a little bit about Adam Smith in here. Adam Smith is well known for his sort of belief in markets. Okay, so he emphasized that markets allocate resources efficiently, and governments should essentially stay out of interfering in markets because when they do, they cause the allocation of resources to be less efficient. One area where he did identify that markets are inefficient is in terms of monopoly. So when businesses get big and powerful, meaning where they control a large share of the sales in a particular industry, which we refer to as market share, they gain power, which causes them to restrict output and allocate resources inefficiently. Okay, so we call that monopoly. Okay, and so Smith referred to it as monopoly. It's one area where he saw a role for government to maybe kind of try to control markets a little bit. Okay, so we'll look at the effects of monopoly here. Okay, so we've done perfect competition is our second market structure, pure monopoly. Okay, sometimes this is referred to as, no, I'm sorry, it's only referred to as pure monopoly. Okay, so here we have a situation where there's only one firm. So whereas in perfect competition there are many firms, okay, in pure monopoly there's only one. The other two market structures is going to be, like an oligopoly there will be a few, okay, but in pure monopoly there's only one business. So as a result, consequently, the market, the firm's demand curve, so this is a firm, this is one firm, okay? The firm's demand curve is also the market demand curve because the firm's the entire market, right? It's selling 100% of the shares in this, of sales in this market, okay? Now, when a business sells one more unit of output, if it's the only business in the industry, okay, as you can see, it has to charge a lower price. The demand curve tells us it can get less for that next unit of output. As a consequence, as a result of this, okay, the business's marginal revenue isn't the same for every unit of output as it is in perfect competition. Perfect competition, no matter how much you sell at the market price because you can't control the market price. In monopoly, you control the market price by how much you sell. You sell more, the market price goes down. You sell less, the market price goes up. Okay? Now, as a result of this, the marginal revenue is always less than demand. Okay? So the value of marginal revenue at any given quantity is going to be lower than what consumers are willing to pay at that quantity on the demand curve. So the math of that I'm not going to get into. Okay, you watch the videos, you read the textbook. The math it's just a little bit of a math problem to figure out why marginal revenue is less than demand. If you have problems with that, ask me. Okay, but you need to know that. You need to understand that. Okay. So you have a marginal revenue curve for the business that is here below the demand curve. Here's your demand curve. And the cost structure is the same. Okay, so you have an average total cost curve here, your marginal cost curve here. The profit maximizing value of output, the business makes the decision the same way in monopoly as it does in pure competition. Okay, so it makes that decision at the point where marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal. Okay, and so that's here. Okay, so here's your marginal revenue curve, here's your marginal cost curve, and here's the intersection of the two. And so this is the equilibrium quantity. Let's not use E, let's use M instead, sorry. Okay, for monopoly. Okay, so that's the monopoly quantity. Remember, the marginal cost curve for the business is its supply curve, as you learned in the last unit, right? Okay, and so this is also the supply curve for the market. And so the efficient quantity, okay, is here at the intersection of what? Marginal cost and marginal benefit, right? Here's your marginal cost, and here's the marginal benefit to society. So the efficient quantity, which would be achieved in competition, right? So when you did the side-by-side graphs in perfect competition, on the left side you had the market. This would be the market outcome, okay, in pure competition. And so this would be the optimal, so I could use O for optimal quantity. Okay, so in a perfectly competitive market, this is the quantity that would be achieved. Okay, but with monopoly, the monopolist restricts output, in this case from QO to QM, in order to do what? As he restricts the output, what happens to the price of the good? It increases. If he produces QO, he's going to have to charge a lower price. If he produces QM, he can charge a higher price. And so he can increase his profits by restricting output. But by restricting output, he produces less than what will be optimal for society. It's optimal for him to restrict output and get a higher profit, but it's not optimal in terms of the allocation of resources for society. And thus, we see this deadweight loss here. Okay, so this is the optimal amount, right? I'm sorry, this is the optimal amount. This is what he actually produces, and so then this is the deadweight loss. Okay? So now once he's chosen this quantity at QM, okay, so this is the amount he'll produce, where marginal cost equals marginal revenue, he can charge this price, right? The demand curve tells us that at QM, the monopolist can charge this price and sell this many units of output. And so that's what he does. He chooses to produce QM and charge a price, P sub M. That's the price the monopolist would charge. Okay? Now the price in competition would be something like here. Call it P sub O because that's not right. But basically the price in competition would be here. Okay? At the intersection of supply and demand. Correct? Okay? So the monopolist restricts so one of the effects of monopoly is that the amount of output produced compared to competition is lower, and the price that the consumer has to pay is higher. And whereas in competition, a perfectly competitive firm makes a zero economic profit, okay, the monopolist makes a positive profit greater than zero, okay, whereas this price is his average revenue, right, okay, and so here's his average revenue. Where's his average cost? So his average cost is here. Okay. And so that's the monopoly profits. Okay? So the monopolist raises the price of the good by restricting the amount of quantity in the market, causing a deadweight loss equal to this triangle, earning profits equal to this rectangle.